How to follow up an email pitch. If you don't hear back from the journalist after your email pitch, it is definitely worth following it up with a text. You need to think about timings. A general rule is call in the morning for any newsroom, even if they are 24/7. So check what deadlines your target media is working to and make sure you avoid them. For example, if it's the evening news roundup on TV, don't call them late afternoon. I used to work in a TV newsroom in regional New South Wales, and people would call as we are all so busy cutting our stories, voicing our stories, putting them together for the 6 p.m. bulletin. You know, Channel 10 in Australia goes to air at 5 p.m. So the deadline's an hour earlier. Don't call them at after lunchtime. I probably wouldn't even call after 1 o'clock. So mornings are the best time. Around 9:30 is when I would say is the best time to call. For radio, don't call them as you're leading up to the hour, because that's similar to TV. At the end of the day, a radio journalist is often on hourly, sometimes half hourly bulletins, but generally hourly. And they're getting their bulletin up until 11 a.m. Don't call them at 10 to 11 and try and get your story, or try and talk to them to pitch your story. It'll make them angry because it's a stressful time in that second half of the hour. If you are trying to get in a national newspaper, don't call last thing in the day. Same thing. They are busy. You know, they might have later deadlines, say 8 p.m., a lot of them these days, but don't call them. And also regional newspapers, they have once a week a particular deadline. Don't call them on that deadline day. It's very, very busy. Where I live, we have a weekly paper and they go to print on a Tuesday afternoon. If I'm organizing a story, I'm not going to organize it on a Tuesday because the journalists are heavily under the pump. They probably won't come out because they've already put together the newspaper. But similarly, I probably wouldn't organize an event on a Wednesday because often it's the time the paper comes out a week later. It's too late. It's old news. So generally, I would do something on a Friday or a Monday for that newspaper who goes to print on a Tuesday afternoon. Always prepare before you call. And my media pitch guide is going to help you do that. It takes you step by step. You know, if the journalist responds here, what are you going to say? And just put some dot points down. It's really, really important that you prepare, because a journalist might say not interested or haven't read it. That's not a final no. It just means that you haven't either pitched the story properly and they may not know the newsworthiness value. You need to convince them of that. Or they just genuinely have not seen the press release or your email. You need to be infectious. You need to be so excited about your story, because that enthusiasm will catch on and the reporter will be interested in covering your story. But don't overdo it. I sometimes get really excited when it comes to talking about public relations with my students and public speaking. Don't overdo it, but you do want to have some sort of excitement in your voice and in your pitch. And crucially, they need to hear that there is a wider interest in the story. And think about your readers. You think about their readers, your audience, because the journalist is only the conduit to your audience, also known as your ideal customer avatar.